a steady, angry rhythm that conveyed the wrath the dragon was prepared to visit upon the gladiators inside. Some tried to turn and run at the sound of the noise, too afraid to go on, but when they saw the guards blocking the entrance back to their living quarters, they knew that there was nowhere they could go. Anybody who had been foolish enough to volunteer was now stuck in the arena. To the king, their lives meant very little, if anything at all. They were just slaves. Why should he have tried to keep them safe? Avalon looked over at her partner. His expression was one of intense anger, as if he was dying to stick his sword in something. She had not had much interaction with him before, but still, she sensed that his anger was just a facade, a mask to hide the fear he felt, the fear they all felt. The gate at the other end of the arena, shut for the 5 years since it had been constructed, was now creaking open. Soldiers marched through, dragging a dragon into the arena by the manacles around its neck. They attached a new chain from the wall of the arena to its collar, ensuring that it couldn't reach beyond the confines of the pit. This dragon was not of the fire-breathing variety, just a small drake that had to fight with its claws, fangs, and wings to defend itself. This would reduce the possibility of any collateral damage outside the arena. Most of the gladiators were unable to hide their fear, with two notable exceptions. One was a beast of a man, 7 feet tall with a thick shock of black hair. He stared at the dragon as if it was nothing. It could have been nothing more than a mosquito buzzing around his bed at night for all his face showed. The look he gave it was one of a man prepared to swat an insect, a creature that posed no danger. He was known to be arrogant, strong, and bloodthirsty. In other words, he was the perfect gladiator and a crowd favorite. The other unafraid fighter was Avalon herself. Her expression was one of intense curiosity rather than fear, as though she were more interested in the physiology of the creature than the imminent threat it posed. She studied the curve of the spines on its back, the sharpness of each fang, the intellect in its eyes. She seemed satisfied with what she saw. She drew her sword, grinning. The guards who had chained the dragon up to its new post began to undo the bindings from around its claws and feet, giving it all the freedom they dared. The chains clinked as they fell apart, dragged out of the arena by the lucky soldiers who did not have to get up close and personal with the monster. The final thing they undid was the muzzle, unclipping it from around its mouth and letting the leather gag fall to the arena floor with the heavy thunk loud enough to silence even the roar of the dragon. "Your Majesty, are you certain that you want to see this?" Roderick was asking him a question, not to be patronizing, but out of genuine concern. The king was irritated nonetheless, glaring at his captain of the guard as though the suggestion were completely ridiculous. "Yes," he snapped, "I am certain." The gladiators were terrified. The dragon was confused. The curl of its lip, the baring of its fangs, all the mannerisms of a creature who didn't know what to do when faced with so many of the species that had tortured it and kept it sealed away for half a decade. The final chain was removed from the dragon's body, giving it the ability to move around on its tether, giving it the range of motion required to fight the gladiators gathered in front of it. It froze. The gladiators froze. Even Roderick, so used to seeing carnage, froze too, his body tensing up beside his king. He did not know what was about to happen. The seconds stretched out, lasting forever. They were charged with the fear and anticipation of all the fighters in the arena. The dragon roared. Time started again. The fight began. Avalon's partner, just as she had expected, cracked under the pressure. It was incredible, really, the rate at which he had dropped his little act. Only a second after the dragon had roared, he was sprinting at the guards, sword in hand, and screaming at the top of his lungs. "Hey, what are you—" He dragged her along with him, the chains biting into her wrist. She could feel the skin chafing beneath the metal, pressing painfully against the links. Her feet tumbled after him, her body desperately trying to stop the source of the pain. "Stop! You're gonna get us killed!" she shouted. Her cries were ignored as he continued his charge toward the guards.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it. at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.